It's not the size of your bank account that makes you broke or wealthy. It's the size of your vision. Here's the truth. Every fortune started as an idea. Every bankruptcy started as an excuse. Somewhere, someone dared to think differently and built an empire from a spark of thought. Somewhere else, someone explained away every opportunity, and their future slowly collapsed under the weight of their own justifications. We often treat being broke like a life sentence, but it's not. Broke isn't just a condition, it's a habit. And habits can be changed. Every small decision, what you spend, what you save, what you read, what you ignore, stacks up into either a life you want or the life you'll regret. And here's what no one tells you. Poverty teaches comfort. Wealth teaches courage. Staying broke often feels safe. It's familiar. It asks nothing from you. But courage, that demands you to step into the unknown, to risk embarrassment, to learn things you never learned before, and to think in ways you've never dared to think. So today we'll talk about the thinking traps that keep people broke and the mindset shifts that turn ordinary lives into extraordinary ones. Because if you can change how you think, you can change how you live. Your financial future has less to do with the numbers in your bank account today and far more to do with the philosophy running your life. Money is only a mirror. It reflects the way you think, the way you make decisions, and the way you see the world. If you believe money is scarce, that there's never enough, that mindset becomes a filter for every choice you make. You save less because you believe it won't matter. You invest less because you think you can't afford to. You earn less because you never expect more. But when you shift that thinking, when you see money as abundant, as a tool, as something that grows under care suddenly, your actions align with that vision, and over time, the reflection in that bank account changes. When I was young, I thought money was something other people understood, people born into it, people with the right last name, people who got lucky. My philosophy was small. Work, get paid, spend, repeat. And guess what? That's exactly the life I got. Then I met someone who challenged my thinking, someone who said, your income will rarely exceed your personal development. That phrase stopped me cold. It wasn't my boss, my job, or my luck holding me back. It was my thinking. The moment I shifted my philosophy from earn and spend to earn, save, invest, and grow, I planted the seeds of a different future. If you see every dollar only as spending power, you'll always spend it. But if you see every dollar as a potential worker, as a seed that can be planted, you'll start putting those dollars to work. That's not just financial advice, that's philosophy. It's the difference between eating the fruit today or planting it to have an orchard tomorrow. A broke person and a millionaire can both hold the same $100 bill, but their thinking determines its destiny. One spends it on something temporary. The other sends it out like an employee, expecting it to return with friends. Changing your philosophy doesn't mean you wake up rich tomorrow. It means you wake up different tomorrow. It means you start asking new questions. What can I do today that my future self will thank me for? It means you stop blaming circumstances and start designing them. You stop asking, why can't I afford that? And start asking, how can I afford that? A tiny shift in words that opens a door to creativity. Your wallet is a reflection of what you believe about time, too. If you think your only way to earn is to trade hours for dollars, you'll always be limited because hours run out. But if you believe in creating, owning, and building things that earn, when you're not working, you begin to free yourself. That belief leads you to learn about investments, to build a side business, to create systems, and that eventually changes the numbers in your account. Philosophy is what whispers in your ear when you get a raise. Do you spend it all on a bigger car, or do you save and invest it, letting the difference build a foundation for freedom? Philosophy is what decides whether you buy liabilities that impress people for a moment or assets that serve you for decades. Philosophy is what determines if you see debt as normal or as a trap to escape. The good news is philosophy is learned, it's built, it's adjusted. You can rewrite it starting today. Start reading books that teach wealth principles. Start asking better questions of people who have the results you want. Start journaling your decisions and the thinking behind them. Because until you change how you think about money, more money won't fix the problem. People win the lottery and end up broke again, not because they lost the money, but because they never changed the thinking. Your bank account will catch up to your philosophy, for better or worse. So expand your thinking. See money as a servant, not a master. Learn the rules, play them well, and think bigger, not just about what you can buy, but about what you can build. Because the truth is simple. If you want to change the balance in your wallet, you first have to change the balance in your mind. Big goals have a way of intimidating us. They sound exciting when you say them out loud. I want to save $1 million. I want to own a business. I want to retire early. But then reality sets in, and the gap between where you are and where you want to be feels too wide, too impossible. That's why most people stop right there. They write the dream down once, or worse, they just keep it in their head, and then they go back to their daily routine unchanged. But here's the truth. The only way to climb a mountain is one step at a time. Big goals must be broken into tiny daily moves, or they'll stay nothing more than wishes. When I first heard about the idea of becoming a millionaire, it felt almost laughable. Where I grew up, millionaires were fairy tales, something you read about, not something you became. But then someone explained it to me differently. What if you saved, invested, and grew just $20 a day for the next 10 years? Suddenly, $1 million didn't sound like magic. It sounded like math. That shift changed everything. See, most people want the million, but aren't willing to map out the moves. They say, I'll start saving when I make more, or I'll invest when I get a bonus. But they never take control of the small numbers today. And that's the trap waiting for someday. But wealth is built by those who start now with what they have and keep stacking small, consistent actions. Think about it this way. If you wanted to write a book, you wouldn't sit down and write 300 pages in one night. You'd write a page a day, maybe 2. Over a year, you'd have your book. Money works the same way. If you want $1 million, stop saying the word million and start asking, what's my daily number? Is it $20, $50, $100? Whatever it is, you focus on hitting that daily target. This isn't just about saving, it's about aligning everything with that goal. How much do you need to earn to hit that number? What expenses do you need to trim so you can free up cash? What can you invest in so that those dollars grow instead of just sitting idle? Suddenly, that dream isn't a cloud floating above your head, it's a blueprint under your feet. And there's another benefit to breaking things down. You build confidence. Every time you hit your daily number, you feel progress. You see movement. You don't wait for someday to celebrate, you celebrate today's step. That keeps you going, and going is the key. When I was broke, I thought big dreams required big leaps. I kept waiting for a big break, a big check, a big moment. But the wealthy don't wait for big, they build small. They save $5, they invest $50, they learn one new thing a day. And over time, those little bricks stack into something massive. So if your dream is $1 million, stop looking at the million. Look at the day. Break it into moves so small you can't talk yourself out of doing them. Because $1 million isn't built in a day, it's built in the days. And every day you act, you bring that future closer. Dreams are beautiful things. They give your mind something to reach for, a picture of what life could be. But dreams by themselves won't pay the bills, won't grow your savings, won't make you free. Dreams are like a spark. They light you up for a moment. But if you don't build them into something more, the spark dies out. What separates the ones who talk about dreams from the ones who live them is one simple thing: standards. Standards aren't hopes, they're rules. They're not, I hope I save money this month. They're, I save money no matter what. They're not, I hope I'll work on myself this year. They're, I invest in myself every single month. Standards turn wishes into non-negotiables. And that's what millionaires do. They don't hope to save or invest. They have standards for saving and investing, and they live by them like gravity. I learned this lesson early when I was broke and frustrated. I had dreams, big ones. I dreamed of nice houses, financial freedom, a life without constant stress over bills. But every time I got paid, I'd think, well, after I cover my expenses and have some fun, then I'll save. And guess what? There was never anything left. One day, a mentor said to me, "Your problem isn't your dream, it's your lack of rules. You keep hoping, but you don't keep standards." That hit me like a brick. So I set my first standard. I saved 10% of every dollar, no matter what. And when I say no matter what, I mean even when it hurt, even when it felt like I couldn't, even when the car broke down, or I wanted to go out for a fancy dinner, that money wasn't mine to touch, it belonged to the future me. And here's the strange thing. Once I treated it like a rule, it became easier. No more internal debates. No more should I or shouldn't I. It was just automatic. This is why standards matter. They remove the decision fatigue. You don't decide whether to save, you save. You don't decide whether to invest, you invest. You don't decide whether to learn, you learn. And over time, those small repeated actions build the life you used to only dream about. Think about it. If you only dream of being healthy but don't have a standard of exercising 3 times a week, how healthy will you be? If you only dream of being wealthy but don't have a standard of saving and investing, how wealthy will you get? Dreams inspire you, but standards build you. Millionaires don't just have bank accounts, they have rules. And those rules don't bend every time life gets hard or tempting. They save first, they invest consistently, they keep learning, and they live by those standards even when nobody's watching. So, ask yourself, what rules do you live by? Are they the kind of rules that will make your dreams real, or the kind that will keep you wishing? Because until your dream turns into a standard, it's just going to stay a dream. Compounding is one of those quiet forces in life that almost feels like magic until you realize it's not magic at all. It's simply discipline multiplied by time. Most people think wealth is created by one big moment, one lucky break, one giant leap. But here's the truth. Wealth isn't loud, it's not sudden, and it's certainly not a lottery ticket. Wealth is slow, patient, and silent. It grows in the background while the world isn't paying attention. It's built penny by penny, choice by choice, habit by habit, and then over time it compounds. Compounding simply means that your efforts, your money, even your decisions start earning for you, and then those earnings earn too. It's like planting a tree. You don't plant the seed today and expect shade tomorrow. You water it, you protect it, you wait. At first it feels like nothing is happening. Days go by, months, sometimes years, and you barely see progress. But one day, that seed has become a tree, and then the tree grows fruit, and then that fruit carries more seeds, and suddenly you're standing in an orchard you almost forgot you planted. I learned compounding the hard way by first ignoring it. When I was young, I thought I was too broke to save, too small to invest. I thought, what's $10 going to do? What's $50 going to change? So I spent it. I always had an excuse. And years later, I realized all those small dollars I dismissed could have been the foundation of a fortune. That's the trap most people fall into. They think the amount is too small to matter, and they forget that compounding turns small into big if you just give it time. Think about it this way. If you put $100 a month into an account and left it alone, not for a year, not for 5, but for decades, it could grow into hundreds of thousands, even millions, without you ever touching it again. And it's not just about money. Knowledge compounds, relationships compound, skills compound. Every book you read, every conversation you have with someone wiser, every skill you practice, it all stacks on top of what you already know, and suddenly you're more valuable, more capable, more wealthy in every sense. The mistake people make is looking for the loud payoff instead of trusting the quiet gain. They chase the big break, the quick scheme, the instant reward, and they miss the power of compounding, working silently in the background. The wealthy understand this. They don't just plant one seed and eat the fruit they keep planting, keep nurturing, keep waiting. They let compounding do the heavy lifting. But here's the catch. Compounding only works if you give it two things, time and consistency. You can't keep digging up the seed to see if it's growing. You can't keep pulling money out of the account. You can't keep breaking the habits that were supposed to serve you. You have to stay the course when it feels like nothing's happening. Compounding doesn't look like much in the beginning. It's almost invisible. But if you learn to trust it, if you learn to respect the silent growth happening underneath the surface, one day you'll look up and realize the small choices you made weren't small at all. They were everything. Wealth isn't built by what you do once. It's built by what you do consistently and let time multiply. If you wait until you're wealthy to start building good money habits, you've already lost the race. Habits aren't something you suddenly acquire. The day you see a large balance in your account, they're forged long before that day comes. The truth is, wealth doesn't create discipline. Discipline creates wealth. If you can't manage $100, you won't manage $100,000. And if you don't learn the habits of saving, investing, and controlling your spending when you have little, those missing habits will swallow you whole when you finally have more. I remember a time in my early years when my income was almost non-existent. Like most people, I thought, when I start making more money, I'll get serious. When I get the raise, I'll save. When I hit six figures, I'll invest. But here's what I learned. The raise doesn't change your habits, it only magnifies them. If you spend recklessly when you earn $1,000, you'll simply spend recklessly when you earn $10,000. Only now the mistakes have more zeros on them. Wealthy people don't wait for money to teach them how to behave. They start practicing wealth behaviors when the numbers are small. They save $10 out of $100. They invest $50 when it feels like they can barely afford it. They track every dollar, even when there aren't many to track. They treat small money like big money because the habits are identical. Think of it like planting seeds. If you wait for acres of land before you learn how to plant, you will waste a fortune when the time finally comes. But if you learn how to care for a single plant in a single pot, by the time you get that acreage, you'll already be a master gardener. I've seen people win lotteries, inherit fortunes, land high-paying jobs, and lose it all within years. Why? Because they had no habits. They didn't know how to say no to themselves. They didn't know how to set aside money before spending. They didn't know how to invest, track, or even think beyond the next paycheck. Their lack of habits destroyed their wealth faster than any outside force ever could. On the other hand, I've met people who started with almost nothing. Bartenders, teachers, factory workers, who became millionaires not because they had windfalls, but because they built the right habits early. They saved a portion of every paycheck, no matter how small. They avoided the trap of thinking, it's only a little, it won't matter. They stayed consistent for years, and those tiny, disciplined actions snowballed into freedom. You might think, I don't earn enough to save, I don't earn enough to invest. That's a lie. You can't afford not to build these habits now. Start with $1. Start with a coin jar. Start with 10 minutes a day of learning about money. The amount doesn't matter, the habit does. Because the day more money comes, and if you do things right, it will, you won't have to scramble to learn discipline. You'll already have the habits in place. And those habits will be the reason the wealth stays, grows, and multiplies. The moment I understood the power of delayed gratification, my entire approach to money changed. It's simple yet profound. What you choose to do with your money today determines your freedom tomorrow. The poor spend to feel good now. They buy comfort, indulgence, and instant pleasure. The wealthy, on the other hand, understand that real comfort comes from freedom, and freedom comes from sacrifice today. I've seen it in my own life and countless others. When you buy that new gadget, that expensive dinner, or that flashy car on credit, you are not just spending money, you're spending your future. You're choosing momentary joy over lasting freedom. Every dollar you spend on a luxury now is a dollar you won't have working for you later. You might think, I've earned this, I deserve this. And there's truth in rewarding yourself, but there's a difference between reward and habit. If indulgence becomes your habit, it's a silent thief of your future wealth. Think of it like planting a tree. You can either enjoy the fruit now from a small sapling, or you can plant and nurture a seedling that will bear fruit for decades. Wealth works the same way. When you delay pleasure, when you say no to temptation today, you're planting seeds of freedom that grow silently, steadily, and surely. I remember my early days, money was tight, and every tempting purchase was a battle. I wanted to live comfortably, but I learned that comfort without freedom is just another cage. I chose to delay gratification, to save instead of spend, to invest instead of indulge. Those choices weren't easy, but they gave me the freedom to live on my terms years later. So how do you practice this? Start small. When you receive your paycheck, immediately set aside a portion for your future before you spend on anything else. Create a budget that prioritizes investing and saving over buying new toys. Remind yourself daily, every dollar I don't spend today is a brick in my wall of freedom tomorrow. Remember, the wealthy don't avoid pleasure. They simply delay it wisely. They understand that the pain of sacrifice is temporary, but the freedom it buys is eternal. Your future self is watching, waiting for the choices you make today. Choose wisely. I want you to think deeply about the difference between working for money and working for equity. Most people get trapped in the endless cycle of earning a paycheck, trading hours for dollars, believing that their time is their only asset. But there's a greater truth to financial freedom. It lies not in wages alone, but in ownership, equity. Wages will pay your bills today. Equity will build your future. It's the difference between surviving paycheck to paycheck and creating lasting wealth that grows even when you're not working. When you own a part of something, a business, real estate, stocks, or intellectual property, you start earning from the value created by others, by systems, by markets. Equity is money working for you. I learned this the hard way. Early in my career, I was grinding hard, making ends meet, but never truly getting ahead. The breakthrough came when I shifted focus from just showing up and working to owning a stake in what I was building. Whether it was starting a side business or investing in assets, I began to see my efforts multiplied beyond my own time. Owning equity means you are building a foundation that produces income, wealth, and freedom beyond your personal effort. It means having a seat at the table where decisions are made, profits are shared, and your financial destiny expands exponentially. So how do you start? Look for opportunities where you can take ownership. Start a small business, partner with someone, buy shares in a company, or invest in rental properties. Even small equity stakes matter because they compound over time. Avoid the trap of relying solely on your paycheck. It may provide security, but it doesn't create freedom. Remember, survival is working for money. Freedom is making money work for you through ownership. Begin building equity today, and you'll one day enjoy the power of money growing quietly, steadily, without you having to be present. Don't just work hard, work smart. Work for equity. Your future self will thank you for it. Tracking your net worth every month is a simple yet powerful practice that separates those who struggle financially from those who build lasting wealth. Most people focus only on the money coming in, their paycheck, and maybe the bills going out, but that's just one piece of the puzzle. The truly wealthy track their entire financial picture, knowing exactly where they stand at all times. Your net worth is the difference between what you own, your assets, and what you owe, your liabilities. It's a snapshot of your financial health. If you ignore this, you're like a captain sailing without a compass, unsure whether you're moving toward your destination or drifting off course. I remember when I first started, I was so focused on earning that I didn't pay attention to my net worth. I knew how much money I made each week, but had no clue if I was actually growing wealth. It was only when I began to track every asset, cash, investments, property, and every liability, debts, loans, obligations, that I gained real control. Suddenly, I could see my progress clearly. This clarity gave me confidence and motivation to make smarter decisions. So how do you track your net worth? Start by listing all your assets: savings, checking accounts, retirement funds, stocks, real estate, and any other valuables. Then list your liabilities: credit card debts, loans, mortgages. Subtract liabilities from assets, and the result is your net worth. Do this monthly. Set a date, maybe the first of each month, to update your numbers. Watch how your net worth changes over time. If it's growing, keep doing what you're doing. If it's shrinking, you have an early warning sign to course correct. Tracking your net worth gives you a big picture view of your money. It helps you focus on building assets and reducing debts rather than just watching your paycheck come and go. It's not just about income, it's about the value you're creating, owning, and preserving. The wealthy don't guess about their finances. They know exactly where they stand because they track their net worth consistently. It's a silent discipline that leads to financial freedom. Well, make this a habit, and you'll see your wealth grow not just in dollars, but in control, confidence, and peace of mind. Begin tracking today. Know your numbers. Own your future. A small daily expense like a $5 coffee might seem harmless, just a few dollars out of pocket, right? But if you really stop and think about it, that $5 isn't just $5. Over weeks, months, and years, those little costs add up and multiply into thousands of dollars lost, money that could have been saved, invested, and grown. The problem is, most people think in prices, not percentages. They see the immediate cost, but fail to see the impact it has on their overall financial picture. When you learn to think in percentages, your whole relationship with money changes. Instead of thinking, is this coffee worth $5? You begin to ask, what percentage of my income am I spending on this habit? For someone making $50,000 a year, $5 a day might seem small, but it's about 0.01% of their income each day. Over a year, that's nearly $1,800 money that could buy stocks, pay down debt, or add to your savings. I remember in my early days, I didn't pay attention to these small expenses. I justified little indulgences, thinking they didn't matter. But over time, I realized the true cost wasn't the price tag, it was the opportunity cost. What could that money do if it was working for me? That shift in perspective was powerful. It made me more disciplined, more intentional. This way of thinking extends beyond coffee to other habits: eating out, impulse purchases, subscriptions you don't use. When you convert these costs into percentages of your income, you see the true financial impact. It becomes easier to cut back or eliminate what isn't serving your future. To make this practical, start by tracking your expenses for a week or a month. Then calculate what percentage of your income each habit consumes. This simple exercise opens your eyes. It forces you to weigh every dollar against your bigger financial goals. Thinking in percentages is a silent but powerful habit of the wealthy. They see money not just as dollars spent, but as a portion of their resources that must be allocated wisely. When you do the same, you'll stop losing thousands unknowingly. Instead, you'll make every dollar count towards your freedom. Start training your mind now. Look beyond prices and see percentages. It's a small mental shift that leads to massive financial growth over time. Remember, wealth isn't built by chance, but by choices made consistently, and how you think about your money is the first choice to master. It's a truth often overlooked. Those who stay broke tend to be great consumers, but those who build wealth become relentless creators. If you want to change your financial destiny, you must stop living to spend and start living to produce. It's not about how much money you make. It's about how much value you create. When I began my journey, I realized quickly that spending without creating was a dead-end street. I saw people working paycheck to paycheck, caught in a cycle of consuming what they didn't really need, while the wealthy were busy creating, building businesses, investing in ideas, and solving problems for others. That creation is what attracts money. Money follows value. If you want money to chase you, you must become a magnet of value, not a drain on resources. Creating means different things to different people. For some, it means inventing products. For others, it means offering services that improve lives. It can even be about ideas, books, speeches, online content that inspire or educate, whatever form it takes. The principle is the same. Production breeds profit, consumption breeds poverty. Look at the habits of those who have broken free from financial struggle. They don't spend impulsively. They invest their time, energy, and money into building something that lasts. When I started speaking and teaching, I wasn't paid a fortune overnight, but I created value every day. That value grew, and so did my income. I didn't chase the paycheck. I built a platform, a legacy, a business. So how do you shift from consumer to creator? First, develop a mindset that values contribution over consumption. Ask yourself, what can I create today that serves others? That could be as simple as learning a skill that lets you solve a problem or starting a side project. Even small steps, repeated consistently, add up. Next, allocate your resources, time, money, and energy toward creation. Instead of spending on fleeting pleasures, invest in education, tools, or ventures that expand your ability to produce. Consider that every dollar spent on books, courses, or networking is a seed planted for future harvest. Don't fear failure. Creation involves risk, but it's through trial and error that mastery emerges. Every setback is a lesson, every mistake a stepping stone. The consumer waits for certainty. The creator acts despite uncertainty. Finally, surround yourself with other creators. Your environment shapes your habits. If you spend time with people who build, you'll naturally absorb their habits, language, and mindset. The wealthy don't just accumulate money, they accumulate knowledge, relationships, and opportunities. Remember, money is a byproduct of value. When you commit to creating, whether it's products, services, or ideas, you open the door to wealth. The more you give, the more you receive. That's the silent law of success. So stop living to spend and start living to create. Your financial freedom depends on it. When I first understood the difference between thinking in paychecks and thinking in profits, it changed everything. Most people are trapped in a cycle where the next paycheck is the only thing on their mind. They focus on the next deposit in their bank account, living paycheck to paycheck, never seeing beyond that immediate number. But that way of thinking is a trap. It keeps you dependent, stuck in a loop where your time directly trades for money, and that means your income stops the moment you stop working. Wealthy people, on the other hand, think very differently. They don't just seek a paycheck, they build streams of income profitable systems that flow whether they work or not. This mindset shift is critical. It means moving from a mindset of scarcity and limitation to one of abundance and leverage. Instead of trading hours for dollars, they invest in opportunities, assets, and businesses that generate profits around the clock. Let me share from my own experience. Early on, I realized that relying solely on a job was limiting speaking engagements and seminars paid well, but only when I showed up. So, I began creating materials, books, audio programs that could sell continuously, even when I wasn't physically present. This idea of creating profit streams gave me freedom and financial growth beyond what hourly work could provide. You don't have to be a millionaire to start thinking in profits. Begin small. Maybe it's investing in dividend-paying stocks, starting a side business, or creating digital content that can earn money repeatedly. The key is to build multiple income streams so you're never dependent on one source. Also, understanding the power of compounding profits is essential. Profits can be reinvested to create more profits. Over time, this snowball effect builds wealth that far exceeds what a paycheck alone can offer. Changing your financial future means changing how you think about money. When you shift your focus from the next paycheck to creating lasting profits, you unlock a new level of financial freedom. Don't just work for money, make money work for you. That's the path from surviving paycheck to paycheck to thriving with multiple streams of income. When I reflect on my journey, One truth stands clear. How you earn matters far more than how much you earn. Many people chase a higher paycheck, believing that increasing their hourly wage or salary will automatically lead them to wealth. But what they often miss is that trading your time for money places a hard cap on your income. You can only work so many hours in a day, and your paycheck will only grow as fast as you can put in more time or effort. Early in my career, I was working long hours, doing my best to increase my income through sheer effort. But I quickly realized that this approach was like running on a treadmill. No matter how fast I went, I couldn't get ahead. I needed to find a way to make my money work independently of my time. That's when the focus shifted from simply earning more to building skills and assets that pay you whether you're working or not. This means developing expertise that is in demand, creating systems that generate income without your constant input, or acquiring ownership stakes in businesses or investments that produce cash flow continuously. Consider the difference between an employee and a business owner. An employee's income is directly tied to hours worked. A business owner earns from systems and teams operating beyond their daily involvement. The same applies to investors who receive dividends and interest from their assets. They are paid for their capital, not their time. Building skills is essential because it opens doors to creating and managing assets. Assets like rental properties, stocks, intellectual property, or even digital products can generate income around the clock. These income streams don't depend on your physical presence or immediate effort. To truly change your financial destiny, focus on learning skills that increase your ability to own or control assets. Invest in yourself through education and practical experience. Then use those skills to acquire or build assets that generate passive income. Remember, wealth isn't about how much you earn in an hour, it's about how many hours your money earns for you. That mindset shift is the cornerstone of true financial freedom. When your money works independently of your time, you break free from the limitations of trading hours for dollars and unlock the door to lasting prosperity. When I talk about financial discipline, there's one rule that stands above all others: save first, spend later. This single practice is the defining line between those who struggle paycheck to paycheck and those who build lasting wealth. It may sound simple, but it requires real commitment and a shift in mindset that most people never make. Too many people wait until the month is over or the bills are paid before they think about saving. They treat saving like a leftover, something to do only if there's money left after all the spending. That's a dangerous approach, because when you save what's left, you're essentially saying, I spend first, then worry about my future if I have anything left. The problem is most times there's nothing left. I learned early on that saving must be treated like paying rent or any other non-negotiable bill. The moment money comes in, you pay yourself first. This means setting aside a fixed percentage, whether it's 10%, 15%, or even 20%, before you pay anyone else or spend on anything else. This simple habit ensures that you're consistently building your financial foundation. Paying yourself first also builds a sense of priority and self-respect. It tells your mind that your future matters. When you do this regularly, it becomes automatic and you no longer have to make tough choices about saving later because it's already done. From my experience, this discipline is the backbone of every millionaire's journey. It's not about how much you earn, but how much you keep and grow. I have seen countless people earn a great income, but never build wealth because they never mastered this rule. Make saving a sacred habit. Automate it if you can. Have your bank transfer money to savings or investments the moment you get paid. Protect this money. Don't touch it for wants or impulses. Treat it like planting seeds in a garden that will one day yield a harvest far greater than what you put in. Remember, wealth doesn't come from spending, it comes from saving first and wisely investing that saving. Pay yourself first and watch how your financial life transforms. This rule alone can change your story. As we come to the close of this conversation, I want to remind you of a fundamental truth. Wealth is not about luck, inheritance, or sudden windfalls. It's about discipline, mindset, and consistent action. The small choices you make every day, especially how you handle your money, will shape the quality of your life tomorrow, next year, and decades from now. You have the power to change your financial future by shifting how you think and act today. Too many people wait for the perfect moment, the right opportunity, or enough income to start building wealth. But the truth is, wealth begins with a mindset, a commitment to living below your means, paying yourself first, and learning to think in terms of value and ownership instead of just paychecks. When you adopt these principles, you begin to break free from the paycheck to paycheck cycle and create real freedom. Remember, it's not how much money you make, but what you do with it that counts. Start with the simplest step. Save a portion of every dollar that comes to you before you pay a single bill or indulge a desire. Build that saving habit like a sacred ritual. Let it be the foundation on which you construct your future. Automate it if you must. Guard it like a treasure and invest it wisely. This journey won't be easy. It requires patience, delayed gratification, and a willingness to learn from failures rather than fear them. But every step you take moves you closer to financial independence. Every dollar you save, every book you read, every mentor you seek, and every investment you make compounds like interest, growing slowly but surely into a legacy. So here's my call to action. Don't wait another day to take control of your financial destiny. Start now, right where you are. Begin with small, consistent steps. Break down your big dreams into daily disciplines. Commit to changing your mindset from scarcity to abundance, from consumer to creator, from employee to owner. Surround yourself with people who challenge you, inspire you, and hold you accountable. Keep learning and applying what you learn. Track your progress. Celebrate small wins, but keep your eyes on the long-term prize, freedom. You are not defined by your current paycheck or your past mistakes. You are defined by the actions you choose to take today. Make those actions count. Build the habits, adopt the mindset, and commit to the disciplines that create lasting wealth. Remember, your financial future is in your hands. Think big, act daily, and never stop moving forward. Wealth is not a destination, it's a journey, and that journey starts with a single deliberate step. Take that step now. Your future self will thank you for it.